So today we've got a question that quite honestly was kind of new to me, which I find exciting and fascinating. And the question was, will we know people in heaven? Will we get to heaven and know anybody else? Or will our memories be erased? That way we don't remember any of the bad things and we don't remember any of the troubles that we had on earth, and therefore we'll be happy in heaven. This is an interesting question. In fact, in the last couple of weeks, we've heard it a few times from people who have said, hey, when I get to heaven, I won't remember anybody. In fact, we had one gentleman who said, I was afraid to actually respond to my daughter when she said, when I get to heaven, will I remember grandma and grandpa? Because he said he had been taught by his parents that when he gets to heaven, he won't know anybody else. First of all, there's nowhere in any place in scripture where there's evidence that we'll have some kind of a memory wipe when we get to heaven. In fact, I would argue that it's kind of the opposite. In order for us to get to heaven and be who we are, again, that soul and mental, that mind, body, soul connection, uh, piece, we will have to remember things that happened on earth or will no longer be who we are. Yes, we'll be in a new body, but scripture says that we'll be us in a new imperishable body. And so when we get to heaven, the evidence from scripture leans much more towards you'll remember everybody and even events that took place on earth. There's only one scripture that I know of that gives us a hint of this. Jesus does say when we get to heaven, we won't be married, but it's not because we won't remember our spouse, but it's because we won't need to be married because we'll be in the completeness of God. We'll be with our spouse. Our spouses will be with us in heaven. They just won't need to be married the same way we have that relationship need on earth. In Luke 16, there is a parable, though, where Jesus teaches on this, and it's the closest place we have any evidence. There's a story of a rich man named Lazarus who doesn't behave in a godly way on earth and dies. And in hell, he says to basically Jesus, hey, can you send someone to talk to my brothers so that they don't end up down here? And Jesus says they have the law and the prophets and everything they need. So, in that parable, which is a story about, it's meant to be a teaching to give us truths about, Jesus reveals to us that at least in the parable, Lazarus remembers his siblings who are still on earth. Now, again, that is a parable. It's not Jesus telling us, hey, when you get to heaven, this is what it's going to be like for sure. But it does give us one foothold to say, I believe that there's no reason for us to have any kind of memory wipe or any kind of trouble remembering anything when we get to heaven. So, for those of you worried that you won't remember your spouse, your brothers, your sisters, your children, your grandparents, or your friends when you get to heaven, I would say the scripture gives us actually the opposite message. In fact, I believe that when we get to heaven, there's a great family reunion in which all the loved ones that have ever gone on before, even loved ones who maybe that relationship has been broken, when we get to heaven, we'll realize the error of our ways for holding grudges. I mean, Jesus says, look, forgive now because you're going to have to get there and do it in heaven. So you might as well just get a head start on it and live like you're in heaven now. That's why there's the kingdom come that will be done on earth as it is in heaven message. Look, when we get to heaven, we're going to know people. We're going to remember who we were. We're just going to have an intimate, passionate, growing relationship with Jesus where the bounds of sin no longer keep us from the full view of God that we'll be able to have in heaven. I hope this helps you. I hope you have a great day, guys. Bye.